Hey, this is Billy with Perma Pastures Farm, and if you'll notice, I mean, yeah, we've had the chickens and the sheep. The chickens were in here, working over what was left behind by the previous owners, and the sheep, they stay in here during the night, and then during the day they go out. Well, guess what? We've integrated, and it was seamless. I mean, they've actually gone through, and they're working like old friends. In fact, the boy right over here, he's very, very curious with the chickens, and they're curious about him. The other two, they really couldn't care less. So how do we do it? Well, right now, all of our infrastructure for the chickens is essentially in here. And in order to be able to integrate them, we've opened this door and we put a couple of intermediate stakes in between there to keep the sheep from going in. Now, the chickens can come and go as they please, but the sheep can't go in there at all. Now, the only access that the sheep really have as far as stalls is their stall where they sleep at night. But the cool thing is now the chickens, instead of just being confined to here, and folks, by the way, their egg laying has gone through the roof since allowing them access to some real deal sunlight. So that basically the chickens, as of right now, until we get a chicken tractor built, they not only have access to their place, they're going through, working through the lamb stuff as well. And then during the day, they're like pigs in slop or chickens on pasture when they're out here during the day. So that's where we are right now in this whole thing. So ideally, this isn't ideal right now, but we've been essentially putting Band-Aids on the animals until we were able to get to them and work on bigger things. And we're going to do that. So the idea in the future being that pigs are ultimately, and hopefully sooner rather than later, pigs are going to go in here and really do the heavy tilling in there. And we'll ultimately go in here. And where the camera's located right now will be another stall. We haven't yet worked on that. We haven't had time. Well, now that we got the chickens and the sheep integrated, and now they have open access to all the sunlight they could possibly stand, it's time for William and I to get hot on mitigating some of the water issues, the erosion issues that we have on the road. Now, the grade on this road is extreme. In fact, we're going to go in the future, we're going to use other means in which to put something down that makes it work better than just gravel, because gravel on an incline like that is just always going to go downhill. But what we're going to do in the meantime is every single time it rains, the water pools in certain areas, and then it'll, like a torrential downfall, it'll just spill over into the road all at the same time, dragging all the gravel, all the material down the entire driveway, which leaves us really nothing left to drive on except for mud, which is making a jacked up road. So what we're going to do today, we've had to do a bunch of running around in Asheville, but what we have time to do today, we may not finish it, but we're going to get started. We're going to work on the first ditch, and we'll get to that in a minute. So we're going to do a variation of a French drain. And as you can see, Chloe, William's dog over there, needs a little attention. So we'll get back to you in a minute. Barn, we were just in there a moment ago. On the outside of this barn, we got issues, as you can tell. We got a tree growing up through the barn. And guess what? That's not the only one. William went out the other day and took one of those high-end attachments you put on the end of a weed eater, and he went and knocked down all the, we don't even know what this grass is. It sits about yay high in a lot of places. So he knocked it down. We got future plans for what's going to happen in those areas as well, but there is a little bit of green underneath, which is providing. In fact, a lot of it's gone at this point because the sheep have gone through, now that he made a way for them to do it, the sheep have gone through and they're working at the green at the bottom. The chickens are scratching through all of it, and that's a wonderful system. But like I said, this is just temporary. We're just, at this point, just trying to put Band-Aids on things until we find a means to do better. But one of the other projects we want to get done is all these little trees and things that are growing up through this barn. Well, that ain't cool. As you can imagine, that's not going to work out for us. And then also what you can't see is on the back side of this barn, it has a sloped roof. It's not an A-frame, it's a sloped roof, and it just basically goes down on that back side. And what it's been doing is wearing away the soil back there, so that's another erosion issue that we got to get ahead of. Which means we're going to basically put rainwater catchment on the side, and we'll figure out exactly the means in which we want to go about doing that. We definitely know what we have to do, but access to that area is another thing altogether. And then, of course, there's the other things that, right here in front of me, there's a rock, which is essentially our pump, our well. And we need to get some pumps out here, basically some hydrants out here to work with the sheep and also get power to do all the other things we want to get done. So with that said, it's time for us to get hot on at least starting on a means by which the water can escape outside of this driveway. Okay, the number one thing to deal with right now is definitely the erosion issue and definitely the road issue. The issue we've had thus far is that the water will basically come down this very, very steep slope. It'll gather right here and basically jump that and go over to the road. And the reason why is that there is a culvert right inside here that we didn't know about. It was so covered up and they have stones all the way around it. Not a bad idea, but on the backside, you don't want to put stones inside your culvert. So what's happening is it can't keep up with the water flow. So it's filling up there, it's spilling over to the road, and it's going down and taking all of our rocks with it. Well, in addition to that, we also have the other issue where it covers everything from this, basically from this point over. Everything hits that spot right there. Good thing. So the only issue we have to do to make this thing functional is to get the end pipe cleared out. But that's not the end of the road for us. Off of this side of the hill, there's also a slope, and it comes down, goes across the road. Well, guess what? This isn't a French drain. This is nothing more than a culvert. So it's just jumping over this area. Not a bad idea by the folks that previously lived here. Not a bad idea at all. It's just they didn't account for this other slope. So what we're going to do, in addition to this culvert that's going through, is adding a French drain. And it's not a real deal French drain, but it's close enough. So for the purists out there, it's a quasi-French drain. So we're basically going to dig a trench from this point, very narrow trench. It doesn't have to be very, very deep because the runoff isn't that great. But it's going to catch everything coming out of here that's been running down the road, which is good news for us because now all of a sudden our task just became a lot easier. And I don't often say that when it comes to doing stuff on the farm because usually it turns out to be a lot harder than you ever anticipated. So when it comes out, well, I'm saying easier. I'm probably going to say easier until we hit a couple of stones through there. Another point, and I'd be remiss if I didn't point it out, is that the power is coming in from right over here. The water is coming in over there. And I would bet dollars to donuts that those people that ran, the plumbers and the electricians that ran this stuff, almost certainly ran it as the crow flies right into that house. So it could very well be coming across that road. Now, it should be below the frost line, and I shouldn't need to go any more than a foot deep, but I wouldn't bet the bank on it because it wouldn't be the first time that a ratty plumber or a ratty electrician has done things the way they shouldn't have been done. So we're going to be very, very careful about how we use this and how we use that Picmatic. So without further ado, it's time to get started. All right, so it didn't take as long as I thought it was going to take. I worked on the bottom side of this culvert that's here, and this wheelbarrow is exactly what I pulled out of this hole. I mean, I was up in there like a Vietnamese tunnel rat. So we got all this dirt out, put it all in that wheelbarrow. Now it can do exactly what it was initially designed to do. So it'll come off the side of that slope there, hit the culvert, come down this part. Now that it's unobstructed, it could actually keep going. And what you can't see through here is that they actually did the right thing. There are a bunch of stones, pretty good sized stones, much bigger than these, all the way down, and it runs the water off to the left. In the future, we'll find other ways to make better use of that. So here on the top side, I know it almost looks as if it's directly on top of the culvert, but it's not. It's actually, it's set in line to catch all the stuff the culvert is getting behind me on this side. This ditch here, which is ultimately going to be a French drain, is the beginnings of it. We don't have what we need right now to finish it. Well, before it would just jump right over this, get into the road, and then just be on its merry way. Now we have a way to intercept it. And it's not going to be a ton of water coming off of here, but enough. So this is the beginnings of it. We don't have time to finish it right now, but we're expecting rain over the next couple of days. So it'll give us a good understanding of what's happening. And if it drains away some of this soil in here, good, because I don't want to dig anyway. So the good thing is now we have a really good test hole in which we know we already really know exactly what's going to happen with the runoff here, but this is going to give us a little bit of reinforcement. So in the space of really about an hour and a half, this project is largely done. I just need to put some stones back in that and observe. Come out tomorrow with an umbrella and make sure everything's doing exactly what we expect it to. This is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. We'll see you next time.